opponents, Sydney FC. Well, let's take a look at those lineups, starting with the home side, North Queensland Fury. Certainly an element of surprise about Ian Ferguson's side. In goals, Paul Henderson. On the right side of midfield, the new signing, the Japanese defender, Koichi Kawamoto. The middle two will be John Tamburis, the journeyman from Darwin. Alongside him, Carl Dodd, the former Wellington Phoenix defender. And on the left side of that back four, the 18-year-old Victorian, Jack Hingert. In midfield, the screener will be Paul Kohler, formerly of the Newcastle Jets. He'll sit behind a bank of three. Robbie Middleby, the former Sydney FC stalwart, on the right-hand side of midfield. In the middle is Roston Griffiths, who we saw last season with Adelaide United. And on the left-hand side of that midfield, another former Red, Jason Spagnuolo. They sit behind the front two of the new signing, Dyron Dahl, the Dutch-born forward. He'll partner the biggest name in the Hyundai A-League in attack. Of course, who else but God himself, Robbie Fowler. Well, for Sydney FC, plenty of thought went into their lineup from their coach, Vitislav Lavitska. In particular, the decision was over the goalkeeping position, and in the end, the cards have fallen in favour of the more experienced Clint Bolton. On the right side of the back four, Shannon Cole. The middle two, Simon Colosimo back to full fitness. Alongside him, the recent signing, the Swiss defender, Stefan Keller. And there's another import on the left-hand side of defence, Sung Hwan Byung. In midfield, Kofi Denning on the right-hand side. Expect plenty of pace and energy from Kofi Denning. Karol Kissel, the Slovakian midfielder, will be partnered in the centre by the Northern Irishman, Terry McFlynn. And on the left-hand side of midfield, Brendan Gann, a late call-up because of an injury to Steve Corica. Alex Brosk will shift into the role just behind the lone forward, John Aloisi. It's a 4-4-1-1 for the Sky Blues. So history about to be made here at the Dairy Farmers Stadium. Sydney FC champions in Season 1, open Season 5 in the northernmost outpost of the Hyundai A-League, the home ground of the A-League newcomers, North Queensland Fury. Well, there's two big names at either end of the park tonight. After last season, John Aloisi has plenty to prove. This season, Robbie Fowler hopes to get straight into the groove. It's the tale of the two number 9s, and it's up next.
Shouldn't your SUV reward you day after day after day? Shouldn't it be packed with the latest technology and safety features? Hyundai thinks so. Take the family tough Santa Fe. With ESP stability control and 6 airbags from $33,990, drive away. Or the feature pack Tucson with ESP and Bluetooth connectivity from $22,990, drive away. Adventurous SUVs that are rewarding to own? Now that's generous.
Well, Vitislav Lavitska reckons it's hot here in Townsville, but by North Queensland standards, a very balmy evening here at the Dairy Farmers Stadium. 23 degrees. The wind from the east-northeast at 17 k's an hour. Humidity just 58%. The pitch is perfect. The crowd is building. Plenty of latecomers still making their way through the turnstiles to witness North Queensland Fury's professional debut. On the bench for the home side tonight, David Williams. We thought he might start. James Robinson, the Englishman. Danny McBreen back in Australia after 7 years in Europe. And the second choice goalkeeper is the former Sydney FC custodian, Justin Passfield. In reserve for Vitislav Lavitska and Sydney FC, Steve Corica. That was a late decision for him to start on the bench. The young defender, Matthew German. Mark Bridge will offer extra attacking options. And Ivan Nasevsky, after a long struggle for supremacy in the pre-season, has to settle for a place on the bench. The referee tonight, the PFA's referee of the year last season, Strebre Delovsky. We're good to go here in Townsville. North Queensland Fury believe they have a much better side than the pundits have given them credit for. Sydney FC, of course, had a wonderful pre-season, and Vidislav Levicka, his job this week has been to keep some sense of realism perhaps about Sydney's campaign. It all starts tonight for the Sky Blues. It's going to be North Queensland to get the game underway. And here we go. A new beginning for a new team and a new ground and a new frontier for the Hyundai A-League. Alongside me tonight, the former Socceroo Paul Trimboli, and it's always a privilege, Trimmers, to witness a bit of history.
Oh, it's fantastic, Mike. Wonderful atmosphere here in the ground tonight. It's interesting too, brand new start for North Queensland, but also in a way probably the 5th new start for Sydney FC, this time under the guidance of Vidislav Levicka. So interesting to see what Sydney are going to produce.
Well, they have produced a wonderful pre-season. We've touched on that. 13 games, unbeaten, just 2 goals conceded. That was the focus for Vidislav Levicka. Once he did his homework on last season, was all about strengthening that back four. He's brought in 2 new faces, the Korean left fullback Björn, and of course the late signing of the ex-Swiss international Stefan Keller. And it's almost like getting a new player as well, with Simon Colosimo back to full fitness.
Absolutely. We've always heard about the attacking intent of Sydney FC, but last year the Achilles heel really was that unsettled defensive area. We saw the Tony Popovich retirement mid-season, the injury to Simon Colosimo, very unsettled at the back. Ian Fife moving in the off-season.
Tyron Dull, who's playing up front alongside Fowler tonight for the Fury. The early ball in from Kissel, picking out Aloisi. The return ball. Flag is up on that far side. John Aloisi would dearly love to get a goal in the first game of the season. Just 2 goals last season for Sydney FC, their marquee player.
Line ball decision, assistant referee. The flag went up early. Alex Brosk, as we've become accustomed to in the role of provider. John Aloisi talking up the fact that he's had a great pre-season, the best preparation he can remember for a number of years.
Well, he'll play at the point with Brosk behind him. And having watched Sydney FC's training sessions over the last few weeks, a lot of attention as well on the wide players, Danning and Gann getting forward to provide Aloisi, I should say, with some service. In the meantime, it's a free kick for North Queensland. Robbie Fowler over the ball. It was Keller climbing into the back of his opponent. And he's having a good, long, hard look at this, Robbie Fowler.
Wouldn't this make the headline?
3 in the wall for Sydney. Fowler with the free kick. It's on target, and he forces the save from Bolton down low to his right. And now Sydney counter quickly through Danning. He's played in Aloisi. The flag stays down. Aloisi's onside. His shot. Aloisi scores at the other end. A dream start for Aloisi. A swift counter-attack for Sydney FC. And look at what that means to the Socceroo striker, John Aloisi.
Absolutely dream start for John Aloisi. Brilliant finish on the assist from Kofi Danning. Lightning fast counter-attack. A brilliant save from Clint Bolton. And then Sydney FC showing pace through the middle. Kofi Danning, and the wonderful weighted pass into the space. Initially, John Aloisi, it seemed as though his first touch had let him down, but then all of a sudden, wonderful angled finish across the goalkeeper into the far corner.
Well, that is a tidy finish from John Aloisi. He said he was back to his best. That is a very encouraging sign for Sydney FC. Sheer delight for Aloisi. A goal in game 1 of season 5. A goal in open play. Just 4 minutes gone. That's the quickest goal scored at a new Hyundai A-League venue. And the number 9 for Sydney has his name on the score sheet. Queensland exposed on the counter. Ian Ferguson, the Fury coach, as we mentioned, Trimmers in the build-up to this game. 5 of the players starting here this evening only put pen to paper in the last fortnight. They have had a couple of games behind closed doors among themselves, but cohesion you would think would have to be an issue for the home team, and maybe we saw some evidence of it there.
I think it was the classic. They were caught cold, weren't they? There was the excitement of the attempt on goal by Robbie Fowler. I think most of the players were probably either thinking, gee, how close did we come to scoring? They weren't probably thinking about readjusting themselves positionally, and all of a sudden, Sydney FC, lightning fast counter-attack. And the pass through from Kofi Danning was absolutely delightful. The weight on it gave John Aloisi every opportunity. And then he showed great striker's instinct, didn't he, to angle that back across the goalkeeper.
There he is, John Aloisi, who says a World Cup berth is the furthest thing from his mind. Priority number 1 is to get himself back to form and fitness. Robbie Fowler not happy with the challenge from Colosimo. Having a word to the assistant referee. Bjorn with the throw. Kaimoto with the header. It's a poor clearance from Tambouris. Here goes Middleby, too strong for Kissel. Middleby looks up, trying to pick out Dahl. Keller with the interception. Here's Middleby. The assistant referee has seen use of the arm by Middleby, who protests his innocence.
Good to see Robbie Middleby injecting himself into the game. He's going to be very important for this North Queensland side. One of the few players in their lineup with A-League experience. Ian Ferguson will look to him for a lot of leadership out there on the park.
Well, he turns 34 tomorrow, Robbie Middleby, so I'm sure he'll enjoy the birthday a lot more if the Fury get a result here this evening. Here's Brosk. Opens up the space for Bjorn. There's time to measure the cross. Leaves it a bit short. There was some contact from Kissel. Karol Kissel, the former Slovakian international who played under Vidislav Lavicka at Sparta Prague. Well, he's full of energy at the moment, Robbie Fowler. Disappointed as captain to see his team go down, particularly to the sucker punch like this.
Great work from Kofi Danning. Beautifully weighted pass. Aloisi looked for a split second like he'd lost the opportunity, but then great striker's instinct. He knew exactly where the back of the net was and how much of an angle he had. And with that trusty left foot, you can see the joy on his face. Couldn't have dreamed of a better start.
Here's Danning, the provider. Kissel. Kohler, who's playing as the anchor man in midfield for North Queensland. Middleby. Kaimoto, and that's a poor touch from Paul Kohler. Middleby adjudged to have gone in late on Brendan Gann. Didn't seem to be a great deal of contact. Loved for 4 seasons by the Sydney FC fans, Robbie Middleby, but he's now officially an enemy. Bjorn's deep cross hangs in the air. Danning gets the better of Hingett. Needs support though, gets it from Cole. He works it inside to McFlynn. Now with Brosk. Danning. His cross has been blocked by Hingett.
Alex Brosk looking really sharp in the early stages of this game. playing in that inside forward position, vacated by Steve Corica. Looking for the ball at every opportunity.
That's a tidy pass from Brosk. Cole's cross for once is disappointing. They're getting good possession now, Sydney FC. Against what you'd have to describe as an experimental North Queensland team. Bune, better cross. Just clears the head of Aloisi. Just can't get the ball at the moment, the home team. Gann. Now Danning. There's space inside for Kissel. He took his eye off the ball. Here's Spaniolo. Well, it's a very fast surface here at the Dairy Farmers Stadium, which of course will suit the players with a good touch.
Absolutely, and we've seen it in the early going already. Some balls just overhit, the ball getting away from people if their first touch isn't absolutely perfect. But at the same time, the players appreciate that sort of pitch. It makes for a good spectacle. You can pass and move very quickly.
Aloisi. McFlynn drives it towards the corner, looking for Bune. Got with the header. Now Kissel. Brosk. Kissel! Well, they're at 6s and 7s. There's no doubt North Queensland Fury.
Lovely work again. Alex Brosk in the thick of everything, but Kissel, great vision, saw the pass early, the give and go with Brosk on the edge of the box, opened the shooting opportunity. They're playing well. The confidence of that early goal really surging through Sydney at the moment. Spreading the field beautifully too. Kofi Danning hugging the right touchline. Brendan Gann out here to the left. Really working North Queensland over through the middle of the park.
Now Colosimo. The early ball with Sydney FC, that's no surprise. 64% of the possession. This, of course, is a team which has had 13 games in the pre-season. Almost the perfect pre-season for Sydney. Didn't have too many interruptions in terms of injuries or players being called up for international duty, whereas North Queensland have had to put together a squad from scratch. And there's been a lot of trial and error as well in that process for North Queensland Fury. Robbie Middleby saying in the local press this week that he felt it would be around 5 or 6 before you saw the real North Queensland Fury stand up. The trouble with that, Trimmers, is that it's a relatively short season.
And also the home ground advantage for North Queensland, you'd imagine, will be important, so they really need to get off to a good start. The telling thing with that possession count also in the first 10 minutes is how much forward possession Sydney have had. They haven't just been holding the ball at the back, they've actually been in the North Queensland half of the field.
Spaniolo looking for Fowler. Again, Colosimo too concerned with reputations. That's the second time Colosimo has put in a strong challenge on Robbie Fowler. Dodd's going to leave that free kick, go forward himself. It looks as though it will be Paul Kohler eventually to deliver the ball. Looking for Dyron Dahl. It's gone over the big man's head, the 6'4" Dyron Dahl, who was only cleared late yesterday. He's been here in Townsville on trial for 10 days. Had a spell last season in Scotland with Ross County, a former Ajax junior. His professional career, though, has been in Scotland. Had a spell with Aberdeen as well. And is a full-fledged international for the Netherlands Antilles.
You could forgive him if his head's just spinning a little bit. He's been here 10 days. All of a sudden, he's lining up in round 1 alongside Robbie Fowler in Townsville.
Kaimoto, the other player only cleared yesterday to play. Kojiro Kaimoto, former Gamba Osaka player, Alberex Niigata. Almost a decade in the J-League, the 31-year-old. He's playing it right back.
It's very obvious at the moment, Sydney really preying on the lack of cohesion of North Queensland side. We know they're a new team, a little lack of understanding amongst their players, and Sydney are really pushing onto them and forcing turnovers in the midfield area.
McFlynn comes inside Roston Griffiths. Moltop. Tackle from behind by Brendan Gann. Well, apart from the normal difficulties, if you like, of building a team from scratch, North Queensland have also had injuries to compound things. Their first choice central defensive pairing of Jacob Timpano and Scott Wilson is now going to be sidelined for probably a couple of months. Good ball in from Kayamolto. Spaniolo gets the better of Kissel, but can't get his foot around the cross.
The first real incisive bit of forward play from North Queensland. Lovely work, Jason Spaniolo. Used his body beautifully to get the turn in on the edge of the penalty area. Then he was a victim of the slick surface. It just got away from him. Had a couple of targets in the middle, but couldn't get to the ball in time. Wonderful opportunity for the likes of Jason Spaniolo. Guys who are perhaps on the fringes of other A-League teams, wanting to nail down that first team position.
Here's Fowler. Dahl. Middleby. There's Kawamoto in support. Gets it back from the Japanese import. Cross from Middleby. Fell short. Kohler. Good height on the cross, and again, Dahl not judging it particularly well. No doubt about his height, Dyron Dahl. And Ian Ferguson saying before the game that he feels it is important that he plays with a front two to give Fowler support.
It's the old-fashioned one tall, one short, isn't it?
And here's Ian Ferguson, his first game as a head coach in the Hyundai A-League. Of course, he had 5 years as an assistant at the Central Coast Mariners. Now the boss in his own right. It's been a difficult job building a team from scratch. He doesn't look too happy with what he's seeing at the moment.
He will be encouraged by some of the last forward movements from North Queensland. Managed to get themselves into good positions around the penalty area. Just need to work on that final product.
Flicked on by Fowler, not read though by Spaniolo. Here's Shannon Cole, deep in his own half, and he's able to shepherd that ball over the byline.
Clever play from Shannon Cole.
Well, between 50 and 100 Sydney fans have made the long trek to Townsville. The opening game of the season. So far, so good for those wearing sky blue. So good for Robbie Fowler and his Fury teammates, but he was handed the armband just yesterday, Robbie Fowler. So some extra responsibility on his shoulders, but he says he's going to thrive on that. Kohler. Stefan Keller. Arrived from the Dutch side, De Graafschap.
Been very aggressive in their defending already. Simon Colosimo and Stefan Keller giving away a couple of free kicks.
So another set-piece opportunity for North Queensland. They had plenty of height inside the area. Good height on the ball as well, but positioning was perfect from Colosimo. And Kohler has followed through on Gann. That's been spotted by Strebre-Delovski.
Not a lot in that obvious free kick. Brendan Gann felt the contact went down. Paul Kohler was breaking up the play more than anything. It's enabling himself to get back into that holding midfield position he's playing.
There's Danning. Perhaps a glimpse into the future on that far side of the field. Jack Hingett against Kofi Danning. Hingett just 18 years of age. Recruited from Dandenong Thunder, who are the runaway competition leaders in the Victorian Premier League, and their coach Stuart Munro. No hesitation in recommending Hingett to the Fury. He was signed after a trial. He was offered a youth team contract at Melbourne Victory, but not surprisingly preferred the first grade contract offered by Ian Ferguson. He starts at left back tonight. There's a decent opponent in Kofi Danning to deal with. New role this evening for Robbie Middleby in midfield. There's Roston Griffiths. Offside against Dahl.
Ian Ferguson will be happier with his team in the last 5 or so minutes. That's the offside call up against Dahl, but they have started to impose themselves on the game. They're pushing forward a little bit more, putting a little bit more pressure on Sydney. They were really shell-shocked after that opening goal by Aloisi. Just starting to work their way into the game.
Kissel clips the ball forward. It's now a foot race between Brosk and Dodd. And that's good defending from Carl Dodd. He got his body between his opponent and the ball. That's the reason he gets the free kick. Brosk has been red hot for Sydney FC this pre-season.
The pitcher won't mind that sort of free kick. What it shows is an endeavour. He wants to make things happen in that front third.
Good strong header from Colosimo. Now Aloisi with some room to move has Brosk in front of him. Bune to his left, the Korean, in fact it's Gann I should say, who's got forward down this left channel. The early ball in takes a deflection. Now Fowler. He's left it behind Spagnuolo. And again a quick counter from Sydney FC. Look at the space here for Kissel now. Looking to cut it back towards Alex Brosk. Tamburis was there for North Queensland. And another sign that particularly in that back four, North Queensland just haven't got the cohesion.
Yeah, the back four a little unlucky there. The turnover happening in midfield. Very cheap giveaway of the ball. Misunderstanding between Spagnuolo and Fowler. And all of a sudden, Kissel, who got forward on the previous move, found himself in acres of space. It was Johnny Tamburis who got across.
Already beaten once tonight, Paul Henderson. Determined not to make it two before half-time. Here's Bune with the corner for Sydney. Goes deep. Dahl gets the contact. Just Fowler forward for North Queensland. Kissel. Danning takes on Hingett. It's an early ball in. It's a cross from Kofi Danning. Henderson looking for the quick release for Darren Dahl, who felt he was perhaps impeded by Bune, but in the end it's an offside call. Trimmers, just in the last few minutes, we've noticed Robbie Fowler dropping more and more into midfield, perhaps a sign of his frustration with the service. Getting back there to try and fetch the ball. There's a studs-up challenge on that far side by Terry McFlynn. But it's not really where North Queensland need Robbie Fowler, is it? It's important that he does stay at the pointy end, as we have another look at the replay there. Stud showing from McFlynn on Spagnuolo.
Yeah, Robbie Fowler's made his name in and around that penalty area.
Dahl. Here's Gann. Strong challenge from McFlynn, and again, Sydney moved the ball quickly. They have the numbers. Look at the space here for Aloisi. Comes inside Tamburis. Well played by Brosk. Now Danning opens up the room for Shannon Cole. It's a high, deep cross from Shannon Cole, but again, it's a disappointing one by his high standards.
Wonderful transition play in the attacking half by Sydney, though, again. The main protagonists, Aloisi and Brosk involved. Kofi Danning on the right. But again, North Queensland, far too much space in the back four.
Well, he put more balls into the penalty area last season, Shannon Cole, than any other player in the A-League. 196 times he crossed the ball into the middle for Sydney FC, and I would suggest probably half of them were decent as well. Tonight, not quite finding his range.
It was a real feature of the A-League last season. His set-piece work and his delivery, as you said, into the penalty area. Something that John Aloisi will be looking forward to.
Spagnuolo. Danning gets the better of Hingett and attacks the space. Kofi Danning, what a strike! Magic from Danning.
Absolutely brilliant work. Kofi Danning, we saw glimpses of it last season. A couple of cameo appearances and a couple of goals, but that's absolutely brilliant work. They've looked threatening all night in that front third, but that was all individual work from Kofi Danning. Surrounded by North Queensland defenders. Took the throw in, turned his man beautifully inside. The decoy run allowed him to get in behind his man, and then the finish was unerring. It set up beautifully, and he volleyed it hard and low into the bottom corner. No chance for Paul Henderson, but brilliant attacking play. Kofi Danning.
Well, 2-0 now, Sydney, because of that wonderful goal from Kofi Danning. And North Queensland Fury, it's proving to be a baptism of fire on the Hyundai A-League debut. Here's McFlynn. Griffiths. Good bounce for Roston Griffiths. Hingett. Well, Ian Ferguson only settled on his 11 last night. He had so many new faces to consider. He's also gone with a more attacking formation to help Robbie Fowler.
That's the challenge for North Queensland now. 2 goals down. They have to be careful. Natural instinct is to try to push forward to get something back. But with Sydney in this kind of mood, in the form of Danning and Aloisi and Brosk in that front third, they could open themselves up for a lot more pain. But you can just sense Sydney, they just look so much more assured, don't they, as a group? They seem to know which areas they need to be in, supporting each other. The balance of the team looks really good. North Queensland, just that little bit of hesitation. You saw it when the turn from Danning, all of a sudden there was no cover defence. His next movement took him right into the penalty area with a shot on goal.
Well, it was about 6 weeks ago in Cronulla that Sydney FC put North Queensland to the sword 4-0 in that pre-season trial. It's an unrecognisable North Queensland side this evening. But you'd have to say, for the moment, Sydney in cruise control. They look fit, they look organised, got the goals. Bjorn with the free kick. Looking for Aloisi. Taken by Paul Henderson. Almost a decade in England since leaving Australia. I'm sure a few of these Sydney FC fans will remember him well from his time with the Northern Spirit. Very much a crowd favourite at North Sydney Oval. Some of those Northern Spirit fans are prominent these days in the Cove, so Robbie Middleby, Paul Henderson, a former crowd favourite, no longer. See too much emotion from Vidislav Novitska.
He'd be a very happy man inside, though. It's worked absolute treat in this first half an hour.
This is better than he might have dreamed of, this scoreline. Komoto with the free kick. That's easy pickings for Bolton.
The other pleasing thing for Levitschka will be the 2 goal scorers. The marquee man, John Aloisi, taking the pressure off himself right from the start. And then one of the youngsters giving the nod, a real sign from Levitschka of confidence in the young Kofi Danning, and he's repaid it, set up the first goal, and then a wonderful piece of individual skill. The sort of thing we love to see in the A-League. We spoke about it on the way to the ground. You just love to see those inspirational moments.
Poor ball from Kohler, easily intercepted by Brendan Gann. Kamoto. Darren Dahl. So Ferguson might have changed things around just a little bit. Dahl now playing in midfield, perhaps. Middleby being pushed forward. I think to wait and see.
It's been quite noticeable. Sydney very structured, lovely pacing of the game. Using the wide areas very effectively, dragging North Queensland out of position. What has been noticeable, you mentioned it earlier, we saw Fowler dropping back. Now we see Dahl dropping back. That's a sign that they're not quite sure how they want to set up on the field. Sydney, you get a much greater sense that each player understands what they're trying to bring to the table. North Queensland still, as you'd expect, brand new group of players. It's going to take some time before they find that natural rhythm amongst each other.
Well, we talk about the problems you have in building a club and a team from scratch. There is a contrast, though, between what Gold Coast United have done, who, of course, will play straight after this game in North Queensland. They pretty well sorted their squad very early, and we've worked with those players for 3 months. The same group have been playing all their pre-season games. As Middleby gets free down the right-hand side, get his foot around the cross. Whereas for North Queensland, just back on that point, it's been a transit lounge. They've turned over a lot of players in this process, and they haven't really been able to work with the same group.
Yeah, of course, and what hasn't helped them, obviously there were some signings made early. Subsequently, they lost those players. Obviously, Jade North was the first to go, Brendan Santalab. We saw Felipe, the Brazilian also, who came and went pretty quickly. So all of a sudden, those aspects weren't helping. And as we said, the fact that they've made those 2 changes right late and brought the 2 guys in at the last minute shows you that it is definitely a work in progress. It will help them that it's a 27-game season this year, but they need to get it right sooner rather than later.
Just a little cut on the cheek there of Simon Colosimo. Go off for the moment. Dodd with the header. Here's Fowler. Now Roston Griffiths. That's overhit from Griffiths. Calla for Sydney. Goes long.
Hey, John, man, you back here.
Good pressure from Middleby.
Leave it, get out.
There's 5 ex-Sydney FC players on the books of North Queensland Fury, but only Middleby involved. Starting 11. Tale Jacob Timpano injured, although Tale hopes to be available for round 2. That's of course the trip to play Gold Coast United next weekend. It's Kaimoto, Dahl. So shifted back to the right-hand side of midfield. That's a poor ball from Dyron Dahl. Well, he's been hustled into error, Colosimo, by both Fowler and Middleby. Carol Kissel. Over the top from the Slovak. Too much on it for Brosk. Around 8 minutes and a bit until half-time. I'm sure Ian Ferguson keen to get his players into the sheds and perhaps reorganise things. He had hoped he'd get the element of surprise with a formation in the lineup that would have been unexpected for Sydney FC. Hasn't worked out like that. Dahl.
There's 2 things that should never really be underestimated. We talk about individual ability, but there's 2 other important factors. One is cohesion and understanding between players. That sort of thing comes with time, spending with your teammates. And the other thing is playing to a structure where each player understands the role that he has in the team and also the role his teammates play. At the moment, Sydney really looking as though they have that kind of continuity and that understanding of their game plan a little bit more than North Queensland.
There's frustration all over the face of Paul Kohler. Had the riot act read to him by Ian Ferguson halfway through the pre-season and has responded As far as the coach is concerned, pretty well to a few home truths, Paul Kohler. That's why he's got the nod in that defensive, that crucial defensive midfield position. Well, won by Tamburas. Dahl now has some room to move. Now Middleby needs a good ball in from Middleby. It's time to take the touch, hangs it to the back post. And they get a corner, North Queensland. Well, they've had a lot more of the ball in the last 5 minutes, the Fury. 77% possession. Now they've got a corner, a chance from the set piece.
Be on this line. Be on that line. That's it. Thank you.
Taken by Spaniolo. Bolton's nowhere. And North Queensland Fury are back in the match. It's Roston Griffiths.
Perfect timing. We spoke about perhaps a lack of cohesion amongst the team, but the one thing where you don't need cohesion is set pieces. You just got your job to do, and if the delivery's there, it's always dangerous. The ball swung in by Jason Spaniolo, and then just the desperation. Two North Queensland players converging on the ball. Dodd and Griffith, and angled into the net from some 2 yards out. No chance for Clint Bolton.
Well, doesn't that change the complexion of this match? They've been second best for 40 minutes, North Queensland, by some way. But Roston Griffiths has handed the home team a lifeline. Dahl. Aloisi. Closed down by Tamburas. Turned over by McFlynn. Now Dahl. Here's Hingett. And again, if they counter quickly, Sydney FC, they do get the numbers, because Queensland are bombing forward. Here's Dodd trying to close down the space for Brosk. He plays it back for Cole. I wish he couldn't get on the end of things.
We spoke about the challenge for North Queensland was to somehow get themselves into attacking positions without opening themselves up to more damage at the defensive end. Sydney doing a wonderful job of transitional attacking play. They're getting numbers in the box.
Keller. Now McFlynn. Colosimo. Defending from Carl Dodd. Head that one back to his goalkeeper. He's doing plenty of talking on the sideline, Ian Ferguson. I'm sure his demeanour's improved a fair bit since that goal from Roston Griffiths. But like a lot of recently retired players, I guess, he's a coach who lives and breathes every moment of the game, kicks every ball. Here's Dahl. It's 1 against 3, but he's done well to open up some room for Robbie Middleby. It's another Fury corner.
Ferguson will be happier with the response of his team. Most of the joy they're getting is coming down this right-hand side. Sydney FC will be disappointed. The set-piece goal, always one that disappoints. Certainly crowd that 6-yard box, North Queensland Fury. It's a
tactic familiar to Ferguson, of course, during his time with the Central Coast Mariners. Spaniolo hangs it deep. This time, Clint Bolton gets through the traffic. Griffiths. It's a sloppy pass from Roston Griffiths. He will go down in history, of course, as the first man to score a goal for North Queensland Fury.
They just lost their men there, Sydney FC. Two people watching the ball. Griffiths, he took like a step back. Everyone else went forward towards the ball. All of a sudden had more carry on it than they expected. And Griffiths angled it into the net.
Danning. It's come off Brosk. Fresh face of Jack Hingett.
Again, it was Alex Bross asking the questions of the North Queensland back four. On so many occasions they've found themselves one-on-one in that defensive area.
Set-piece chance for North Queensland. They'll have to get a hurry on, though. We're in the final few seconds of this first half. Again, it's Jason Spaniolo to pick out the big man in the middle. Griffiths is there. Fowler, Dyron Dahl, John Tambouris. Muscular presence for North Queensland Fury. Well, they were down and out for most of this first half, North Queensland, but that late goal from Roston Griffiths has changed the complexion of this game. John Aloisi gave Sydney FC the go-to goal, and Kofi Danning with a wonderful strike made it 2-0 to the Sky Blues. But we have a contest on our hands here in Townsville at half-time in the Dairy Farmers Stadium. It's Sydney FC 2, North Queensland Fury 1.
Half-time, time to grab a Hungry Jack's Whopper. The burgers are better at Hungry Jack's.
At Mitre 10, we've got unbeatable prices because we'll beat any lower everyday price by 10%. So long as it's not a competitor's sale price or a trade purchase, we'll beat it. Mighty helpful, Mitre 10.
See the best local and international football, there's only one place. Call today to upgrade. Half-time, time to grab a Hungry Jack's Whopper. The burgers are better at Hungry Jack's.
Well, those wondering whether Robbie Fowler was in the A-League and to mean business, have a look at this vision. He's put himself about Robbie Fowler. He's had an opportunity from the set piece. He's rolled up his sleeves. He's got involved. He's encouraged his teammates. He wants to win. That is a sight for sore eyes. He's looked very, very menacing in the first half. Robbie Fowler without getting the goal. That will please the Fury fans, who will be happier as well after that late goal in the first half from Roston Griffiths. For the latest now from the dressing rooms, we'll go down to the sideline and Melanie McLaughlin.
Well, thanks very much, Mike. Now, I've spoken to Stuart Petrie, the assistant coach at North Queensland. He was happy that they got that goal late on, courtesy of Griffiths, as you mentioned, but he said that the start was just poor. It was just way too poor. And happy with the last 15 minutes, but Sydney just started too brightly, just too fast, and that will be the message. They're going to look to the bench, so I think, that, considering they have three very attacking-minded players, he doesn't think the limited preparation has been a factor in terms of gelling. As for Sydney FC, Tony Popovich from Sydney was naturally happy with their start and for the two goal scorers. He wasn't happy with the intensity dropping off and said North Queensland gained confidence for that, which led to that goal. Vidislav Levitska and his assistants deep in thought when I left them. They're mulling over whether or not to head to the bench yet. Well, don't forget, it is not too late to put a bet on, courtesy of TAB Sportsbet, and I can tell you that our punters are showing no faith in North Queensland. $10 for the win. Sydney FC, $1.30 for the win. No value there, or hardly anyway. And for the draw, $4.75. So perhaps a draw might be a good tip, but don't take my word for it. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks very much, Mel. Well, stranger things have happened. Paul Trimboli, they have been second best pretty well at every aspect of this game in the first half, North Queensland, but look at the scoreline.
Absolutely, and it just shows the show. Set pieces are so important. The two best opportunities, the one from Fowler that nearly went in, good save from Bolton, and then the goal itself. But I think, as Melanie told us, Sydney did drop off their intensity just a little bit. Perhaps it was all looking a little bit too easy for them, and they did allow North Queensland to start imposing themselves on the contest for that last 10 or 15 minutes of the first half.
Not the type to get flustered, Vidislav Levitska. I'm sure he will realise, despite the closeness of the scoreline, his team put in a pretty good shift in the first 45 minutes of this game. Can Sydney do likewise in the second half? We're about to find out. North Queensland Fury. A good end, if you like, to that first half. Giving themselves some encouragement. There's a handball by Kohler. And the referee looked to play the advantage. There was none. It will come back for a free kick to Sydney FC.
It was wonderful strength shown by John Aloisi. He's looking very fit, very hungry, as you'd expect after a long off-season and a lot to think about.
It's Cole with the dead ball for Sydney. It's missed by Brosk. At the far post, it was Terry McFlynn getting the better of Kojiro Kawamoto, but the flag is up for offside. Well, we just look at that North Queensland bench after we have another shot of this opportunity at the back post. On the subject of the North Queensland Fury bench, three attacking players there. And really, you'd have to say North Queensland's problems have been at the other end of the park defensively. Has Ian Ferguson left himself a bit short with his options?
Well, he obviously felt that the game may go a different way. I suppose the one thing he can have up his sleeve is if they can put enough pressure on Sydney at the other end. They always say that the cliche, the best form of defence is attack. But you still have to have the balance.
Here's Fowler. We're desperate to end his debut, I should say, as a winner. We caught a glimpse of him in that dressing room. He is certainly leading by example. Dodd has pushed himself into midfield. I'm not sure if that's particularly wise at this stage of the game. Spagnuolo, strong challenge from Kissel. A strong challenge from Dyron Dahl. Bjorn skips away from the Dutchman. And then his touch puts him down. Kamoto. Middleby. Well, that right-hand side for North Queensland did look to be their best outlet in the first half, and it's continuing in that vein in the second half. Kojiro Kawamoto and Robbie Middleby getting some penetration down that side of the field. Here's Middleby again. Nice touch from Dahl. Fowler checks off. The ball goes near post and just makes his way through to the goalkeeper, Clint Bolton. Tamburis has turned into trouble here, Paul Kohler. Now Gann. Aloisi tries to toe poke it through. He was at full stretch though, John Aloisi. Well, that goal will do his confidence enormous good. He had a poor season last year, John Aloisi. There's 2 goals in 16 games. One of them was from the penalty spot. And when you're the highest paid player in the competition, and that's your return, then quite clearly the pressure is going to be on. He's released some of that pressure. His goal here this evening.
Does appear to be in good physical condition also. At times last season, he almost looked like he was labouring to get to the contests. So far tonight, we've seen him looking sharp, hungry for the ball, taking up some good positions.
A wayward ball from Colosimo. Here's Dahl. Kawamoto. The room he's been given for the cross. It's disappointing, though, from the Japanese fullback. Oh, Dodd. And he continues into midfield, Dodd.
That time it was at least Roston Griffiths who actually took it upon himself to drop back as he saw Dodd go forward. What we've seen happening prior to that was the midfield were also moving forward with Dodd, and all of a sudden it was leaving space for the likes of Brosk and Aloisi, and almost ended up really one-on-one and sometimes two-on-one to Sydney to be able to counter-attack.
Bjorn. Now McFlynn. That's been missed by Hingett. Trouble here for North Queensland. Time and space for Danny. Goes near post. And John Aloisi just couldn't get the contact. That was served up on a plate for Aloisi. Should have been number 3 for Sydney.
It was a clever ball. I think it was Terry McLean who angled it across the defensive line. Coffee Danning got in behind and he drove it hard and low across the box just as Aloisi would have wanted. Couldn't get the decisive touch.
Mistake by Bolton. And Robbie Fowler has it back for North Queensland. Spagnuolo goes for goal, takes a deflection, corner for the Fury. It's end-to-end now at Dairy Farmers Stadium. 2 teams slugging it out for what would probably be the killer goal if you're a Sydney fan, but of course a different dynamic for North Queensland Fury. Those fans, the F Troop, are finding their voice. They're pretty quiet in the first half. It's Fowler with the corner. Strebray Delovsky has to sort out some argy-bargy inside that 6-yard box. Umi, says Carl Dodd.
Perhaps a little tighter marking the order of the day. They would have been given that message at halftime after that opening goal by North Queensland.
And it comes from Fowler, and Clint Bolton pretty relieved to see that one drop into the gloves. Early release from the keeper. Here's McFlynn. Now Kissel. Danning wants it played in and gets it.
Unlucky there from Kissel. He did the right thing. He played the ball with pace. If Danning could just have taken the weight off it, he would have been in with an opportunity one-on-one with the goalkeeper. And again, it was Sydney FC's ability on the counter-attack to open up North Queensland.
Well, the first change of the game, and it's a pretty positive one from North Queensland. David Williams, the Socceroos striker, replaces Dyron Dull. And he'll go straight out into that right-hand side of the field. And you'd imagine now some pretty big questions are going to be asked of Sydney FC down that side. Bjorn and Brendan Gann. Plenty of people surprised that David Williams wasn't in the starting 11. He's at the club on loan from Brøndby, the Danish club. Capped by Australia against China. Back to breathe some new life into his career. David Williams will get the platform here in Townsville.
Interesting with Dahl. He started off playing very centrally. As the game wore on, he was almost pushed into a more of a right-hand side position. Often that enabled him to open up the space, but then he wasn't the target in the middle that they looked for.
Another set piece for North Queensland. And it comes from Spaniolo. Nice touch coming from Griffiths.
Again, North Queensland, the physical presence in the penalty area, putting Sydney under the pressure. That resulted in the goal at the end of the first half, and all of a sudden, Sydney seemed to be content to play on the counter-attack.
Well, Bolton and Colosimo then almost playing their team into trouble. A couple of lapses of concentration suddenly appearing in that Sydney FC defensive third. Here's Bross skipping away from Dodd, who's been caught out. They have numbers again, Sydney, one of which is Gann, but he's turned inside to traffic, and his shot blocked by Williams, but it spins away for Danning. He gets away from Hingett. Just unable to keep the ball in play, Kofi Danning. Quick as he is, not that quick.
Again, it was wonderful work from Alex Pross, but perhaps again a sign of the lack of cohesion. Two North Queensland defenders both going to try to win the ball from Alex Pross. In the end, left themselves wide open.
The North Queensland perhaps need a little bit more discipline from Carl Dodd at the moment. Look at that scoreline. We're early in the second half. He's stepping into midfield at every opportunity, and he is leaving space in behind. Here comes the cross from the right-hand side by Williams. Bjorn goes long.
I think it's definitely a problem for Dodd if there's not the understanding that when he steps forward, one of the holding midfielders, whether it be Griffiths or Kohler, sits back in his place. If they all go, plus him, then they're in trouble.
Spaniolo. The encouraging thing here for Ian Ferguson is that things are getting better rather than worse. They had a horrible start to this game, North Queensland Fury. And now Sydney FC know they are in a contest.
And definitely stepped up the tempo, North Queensland, starting to really control the flow of play. Sydney still look dangerous on the counter-attack, but the balance of play is definitely in the favour of North Queensland at the moment.
From Keller. Looks out Brendan Gann.
It's interesting. North Queensland quite prepared at times to play four defenders against four attackers. Sydney really pushing up on it. Something that you don't often see. Generally, there is always a covering player or an extra defender. At times tonight, it's pretty much 4-on-4.
Here's Carol Kissel. as well to bring it down, and turns the ball over. Good knockdown from Aloisi. Brosco beaten to it by David Williams. Good tracking back from Williams. Now Middleby. Komoto. Shown the line by Bjorn. Japanese player goes inside to Fowler. Chests it down. Here's Spaniolo. Down he goes. Penalty. Penalty, North Queensland. And an opportunity, I would imagine, for Robbie Fowler to level the scores.
A wonderful bit of attacking play by North Queensland. Again, it was that right-hand channel where they opened them up. The ball was played into Fowler. He fed Spaniolo. It was the swivel of the hips, the little dummy, sucked Cole into the challenge. Lovely little bit of work without touching the ball. Lured the Sydney defender into the reckless challenge. Great work from Jason Spaniolo.
Well, this is the moment the fans have been waiting for. They've gone behind that goal, hoping that the ball will end up in the net. It's Fowler against Bolton. Fowler scores. Thank God for that.
Wonderful moment, not only for Robbie Fowler, but for this North Queensland crowd. Great comeback. They've shown a lot of character here. As we spoke earlier, they were starting to impose themselves on the game. Sydney were allowing that to happen. Seemed content to play in the counter-attack. And Robbie Fowler from the penalty spot. But it was the work of Jason Spaniolo. Wonderful dummy he threw on Shannon Cole. Lured the defender into the tackle. And then Fowler, cool as you like, stood up Bolton, froze him on the spot, and then side-footed it beautifully into the bottom corner.
The composure of a man who has scored a goal almost every 2 games for Liverpool in the white-hot atmosphere at Anfield. And Robbie Fowler delivers for North Queensland Fury. And what character shown by the home team. Down 2-0 inside the opening half hour. And really struggling to get a toehold on this match. But what a difference the last half an hour or so have been. First that header from Roston Griffiths, and then the penalty from Robbie Fowler.
It was clever work from Fowler too. He got the ball near the edge of the box. A lot of strikers would have had the shot, especially having been not in the game very often in that position, but he had the presence of mind to play the ball to Spaniolo.
Aloisi clearly offside. Well, I'll put you on the spot. I know it's early, but we do like an early call. We've had some very big names come to this competition and been very big flops. 61 minutes into this match. Your view on Robbie Fowler? He's not going to be one of those, is he? He looks mobile, he looks hungry, and he's got a great attitude. Yeah,
it's way too early to be definitive, Michael, but what we've seen so far, which is all we can judge him on, as you said, he has looked hungry, he has looked determined. He showed some leadership there to step up and take that penalty kick. So based on what we've seen, so far so good.
A couple of strong challenges.
What I did like too was that footage we saw at half-time where in the dressing room he was taking control of the situation. You saw him discussing with his teammates perhaps a better way to do things, which is what you'd like to see from a player of his experience.
Well, I know it's an early call, but the first impressions is what I'm saying, and they're pretty good. Very good, in fact, as far as North Queensland are concerned. Robbie Fowler knows, I'm sure, that this group of players around him will only get better. Next week when they go to the Gold Coast, they'll have Ufuk Talay back from injury, Osama Malik as well, and their latest signing, Shane Stefanuto. He'll be in town by Tuesday. So that's more depth, more quality. Cole runs the ball over the line. Shannon Cole. He was the man who conceded the penalty and knew the game was up the moment the contact happened, and this is the end result. Robbie Fowler, cool as you like.
Yeah, wonderful confidence, eyes on the goalkeeper the whole time. He knew exactly where the ball was. The moment he froze the keeper, The technique was superb.
Here's McFlynn. Chance here for Kissel. What a chance for Kissel. Disappointing finish. The whole goal to aim at for Carol Kissel. Ball broke perfectly for him.
Sloppy giveaway on the edge of the box by North Queensland. They closed the gap on McFlynn, but then they gave the ball away cheaply. And as all midfielders love that ball rolling towards them, that time Kissel trying to hit through the ball to try to bring it back around, but just didn't get it right.
Well, the way that North Queensland are defending, you would imagine there'll be more goals in this game, Paul Trimboli. But at the other end, they've also caused Sydney some anxious moments. This is a Sydney team, of course, which conceded just 2 goals in 13 pre-season matches. They've conceded the same number here. Roston Griffiths gets away from the first challenge, heads towards the byline, the back heel for Spaniolo, hangs it deep. Williams is there. Well, Sydney FC now looking to make their first change of the game, and it's going to be Steve Corica, born and bred in Innisfail, not far from here. He's got a big contingent of fans and family inside the ground. Left out at the last minute because of a back strain. He's about to enter the fray to replace Brendan Gann.
Levitschka, I think, concerned the amount of ball that North Queensland are starting to get. They're starting to control the game in midfield.
Molto. Here's Henderson. Good ball from McFlynn, but it again underlines just how quick this field is. It's
very unforgiving, isn't it, on the first touch? If the ball's with pace and you've got pace as well, very difficult to keep the ball close to you.
Well, here's that change we talked about. Stevie Corica on for Brendan Gann. It'll probably result in Alex Brosk shifting to the left side of midfield. We'll just have to wait and see for a moment.
Levitschka wanting to take a bit more control back in the midfield area. Steve Corica, very clever player.
Well, it does look as though Levitschka's going to keep Brosk up front.
I think he still senses that there's some goals in the offing. They still look dangerous in the attacking sense.
This is the result of no longer having a left midfielder. Williams has space, and that's disappointing from David Williams. And now it looks as in fact though Brosk will go into that left-hand channel.
Just an example of the excitement that David Williams can bring to this team. That time getting the final product wrong, but the initial build-up play was fantastic. Skipped past his man, got his head up, which was important.
Molto going to play in Middleby. Well, it's finally balanced now, this game. The momentum with the home team. They scored the last 2 goals, but they don't look like a team that can hold on to that sort of situation for too long. And Spaniolo goes to ground.
It was a wonderful run from Jason Spaniolo. He's lifted in confidence since he won that penalty kick. That time making life difficult for Shannon Cole, and then a lovely little ball inside. For a split second, Shannon Cole went for the jumper. He was lucky he let go when he did.
That's the end of the section for Jason Spaniolo. His work is done. It will be the Englishman James Robinson to provide the fresh legs. Former Melbourne Victory and Perth Glory player, James Robinson. It's a straight swap. He goes into the left-hand side of midfield. Strong challenge from Tambouris. Cola. Williams. Kaimoto. Better ball from Kaimoto. Robinson with the header. Clears the crossbar.
Again, it was that right-hand channel. Lots of joy for North Queensland. David Williams came inside, left the space open for the fullback, and it was a beautiful cross on the far post. Robinson trying to loop the ball into the far corner.
Well, the crowd tonight for North Queensland's first ever match in the Hyundai A-League, 8,897. It's a very comfortable evening for the players and supporters here at the Dairy Farmers Stadium. And I'm sure once the word gets around after this performance, there'll be more fans in for the next games. They've shown real character at North Queensland Fury, which counts for a lot in these parts. Here's Keller.
Interesting now, the psychology for Sydney. What do? They had a 2-0 lead. They'll be disappointed that they've given that away. Do they press really hard and say, we should really win this game? We had 2-0 lead. By doing so, do they expose themselves and potentially cop another one from North Queensland? So interesting battle of the minds at the moment.
Cole looking for Corica. Still plenty of time for a player of Corica's calibre to influence the outcome of this match. It's been a typically enthusiastic performance from Carl Dodd.
He's provided a spark for them, definitely.
Released by Wellington Phoenix at the end of last season. Had a trial at the Newcastle Jets, didn't get a contract there, went back to the New South Wales Premier League, played a few games for Sydney United, and got a second bite of the cherry here at North Queensland. It was signed just over a week ago by Ian Ferguson. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, got injury problems in that area of the park, North Queensland. Jacob Timpano and Scott Wilson out with long-term injuries. Middleby. Kohler outnumbered and out-muscled in the end. McFlynn looking for Brosk. Is he going to win the foot race? Yes, he is. Out comes Henderson. Clumsy from the goalkeeper. No hesitation from Strebre Delovsky. Penalty, Sydney FC.
And again, it was the broken play. Terry McFlynn, wonderful ball across. Initially, it looked as though it had skipped off the turf and got away from Brosk. He showed some acceleration. The goalkeeper a little bit hasty with his attack on the ball. Not a great deal of contact, but with that sort of momentum, any sort of touch was going to bring the player down. Referee, no hesitation.
So John Aloisi with a chance to restore Sydney's advantage from the penalty spot. And it's 2 goals from Aloisi. Sydney FC back in front.
And another cool piece of finishing from the penalty spot. John Aloisi holding his nerve, allowing the keeper to move away to his left and then just rolled it down the middle of the goal. Sydney FC have seen a 2-goal lead get squandered, but hit back. And it was Alex Brosk. I think he surprised Henderson with his speed. The ball looked as though it had got away from him. I think Henderson thought he was going to win the battle. Got there a split second too late, and then Aloisi, lovely composure, allowed the keeper to move out of position. That takes a lot of guts to do that. but he held his nerve and rolled it down the middle of the goal.
So North Queensland again facing an uphill battle now. John Aloisi with his second of the game. That's the total he contributed last season. Have to do it all over again now, North Queensland.
It was a great bit of vision from Terry McFlynn also to see the opening. He pushed forward from midfield, found the ball at his feet and instinctively knew where Brosk was. Played the ball in behind the defence.
Given that simulation is a very hot topic in the Hyundai A-League at the moment, that the FFA have announced that the match review panel will look for instances of simulation which result in a penalty. I wonder what was going through Alex Brosk's mind at that particular moment. Here he is on the ball again. I wonder what was going through the goalkeeper, Paul Henderson's mind.
Yeah, I think that situation, as I said, on first look, it appeared that the ball had been played too hard by Terry McFlynn. I think Henderson thought the same thing, kept charging out, probably committed thinking he was going to win the ball. But Brosk, wonderful acceleration over the final few yards. All of a sudden, his momentum took him into Henderson, who was moving forward. The referee was in good position, and there was no hesitation, pointed straight to the spot.
Here's Tamburis. That goal has certainly silenced the crowd here in Townsville. They'll have to dig deep. Once again, the Fury. Here's Robinson. Now Hingett. Hingett. It's 1 against 3, not getting a lot of support. Here's Robinson. It's a rusty touch from James Robinson. Now Dodd. Williams. Well, Dodd has turned it over cheaply. But so too of Sydney FC. 15 minutes remaining. Sydney have restored their lead. Have the Fury got it in them to come back again. Aloisi. So certainly thriving on the space that he's been given by North Queensland. He comes inside, John Aloisi. Shoulder to shoulder. Play on, says the referee.
There's good work again from Sydney FC in the front third. John Aloisi, ambitious attempted manoeuvre there. Played the ball through the legs, I think, of John Tamburis. He did a good job to get his body across. Just allowed his fellow defenders time to get back.
Kofi Danning was electric in that first half. He's been subdued pretty well by Jack Hingett in this second half, which is a testament to the young Fury defender. Certainly a match winner when he's in the mood, Kofi Danning.
Fury definitely stepped up the intensity in this second half. Have had much more of the play than they had in the early going.
Here's Williams. Misunderstanding between Middleby and Williams.
It's definitely been their attacking avenue of choice, that right-hand side. North Queensland. Robbie Middleby's had a good night against his former club. Playing in that role between the midfield and the forwards. He's always been an outlet. rarely gives the ball away cheaply.
Colosimo, Route 1 will do at this stage. Runs it down, and Aloisi was looking to get on the end of things.
It was clever thinking by Brosk. He knew Aloisi had the jump on the defence, and he tried to play it early and angle it back across the box. Didn't quite pull it off. The idea was definitely there. He knew his fellow strike partner was in the go-to position.
Kohler looking for Williams. Bjorn, the player in front, and there was a pretty clear nudge from David Williams, who was disputing the call. Not sure why.
Yeah, good body position. Bjorn. David Williams has looked lively since he's come on, been very aggressive in his work. That time, a little too much right in front of the assistant referee. Ian Ferguson will be pleased with what he's shown after coming on.
Sungwan Bjorn, who had quite a few seasons with Ulsan Hyundai and Busan I Park. Last season with Jeju United in the K-League. Made his own way to Australia for a trial with Sydney FC and played in the pre-season game against Manly United, and Vidislav Levitska made up his mind within 10 minutes, we're told, of the quality of the South Korean defender. It was a position Sydney FC were keen to fill, the fullback position. He has certainly had his hands full tonight with the right-hand side of North Queensland's midfield proving pretty productive for them. Here's Robinson. Comes inside, squares it up for Roston Griffiths. Goes for the far corner, but a shot which lacked conviction from Roston Griffiths. Colosimo. Delightful ball to pick out Danning, and the knockdown was intercepted by Dodd. Hingett. Clever ball over the top. Middleby. It's a metre or so on Keller. Now Robinson. Well, that was the wrong option from James Robinson. He had both Fowler and Williams waiting in the middle for the cross. Tug on the shirt there by Corica, spotted by Strebro-Delovsky. Good decision by the referee. Before the free kick will be taken, North Queensland will make another change, and again it's an attacking one. Off goes a defensive midfielder and Paul Kohler. On comes a striker and Daniel McBreen. Back in Australia after 7 years abroad, a spell in Romania, a few clubs in Scotland. Spent last season in non-league football in England with York City. An old-fashioned centre forward, Daniel McBreen.
Of course, Sydney some problems from set pieces. Put themselves about physically as you'd expect.
It's Hingett over the ball. Decent delivery. Griffiths gets the touch. Williams. Fowler nudged away from the flight of the ball there by Shannon Cole. That was good work from Cole. Led to the danger. are going to have to work hard to see out this game, Roston Griffiths. I think he's just picked up an injury there, perhaps at the hip. Seems like he might have strained something. The look on his face suggested there's a problem. Here's McBreen trying to cut the ball back for Robinson. Now Hingett. Here's Roston Griffiths. Fowler. McBreen. Bills for handball. A couple of North Queensland players. Danning. Almost a perfect ball from Kofi Danning.
Danny McBreen tried to hook this one goalwards. Simon Colosimo had the arm up. Don't think it was intentional, but any time you raise your arm in the penalty area and the ball strikes it, I think his heart would have been in his mouth for a split second. Referee had a good position.
Certainly North Queensland entitled to at least ask a question there.
Definitely stopped the ball from going toward the goal. In his favour was the fact that it was kicked into him from such close range.
Williams. Kaimoto. Here's Middleby, waiting for Kaimoto to get forward. The cross comes in from Kaimoto, just clearing the head of Daniel McBreen.
I think Ian Ferguson will be very pleased with the constructive play down the right-hand side tonight from North Queensland. Again, they worked the angle beautifully.
Griffiths. Let's clip the ball from Roston Griffiths. Kaimoto. Kaimoto has done well, and the finish didn't quite match the lead-up play from Kojiro Kaimoto. Cut inside two Sydney FC players. He had a good look at the goal.
It was great work again, that right-hand side. The understanding between Middleby and Kaimoto. Their two players have really gelled. And then the individual piece of skill from Kaimoto to get himself into shooting position. Then perhaps a little bit of fatigue. He was lunging forward in the end, couldn't keep the shot down.
By the looks of things, Sydney FC looking to keep hold of what they have. They brought on a defender in Matt German and replaced an attacking player in Kofi Danning. Goes to left back Matt German, and Bjorn switches to the right. In fact, Shannon Cole's gone into midfield, so they've kept the shape, Sydney FC.
Bjorn might be pleased to get a stint on this side of the park. They really have attacked him down that side.
Dummy from Robinson, read by Cole. Flynn goes back to his goalkeeper, Clint Bolton. I guess there were some preconceptions about North Queensland's style, that they were just going to lump it long and play Route 1 football. Hasn't been the case for long periods of this game. Tried to keep the ball on the deck, tried to go from side to side. It's certainly been an attacking type of attitude from North Queensland Fury and their coach Ian Ferguson. Very offensive in their play. Aloisi. Corica tries to slalom through Steve Corica and was nudged. That's the reason for the free kick for Sydney. They'll be in no particular hurry to take it, Sydney FC. Just a couple of minutes plus stoppages on the clock.
Time at tie, and Roston Griffiths just giving a shove to Steve Corica. Good refereeing from Kolosky. happy to see Corica take the advantage, see where he could get with it. But always had the whistle close to his mouth.
Brosk, free kick played short. Heads towards the corner, Alex Brosk. Looking to run down the clock now, Sydney FC. Corica into the corner.
Clever work by Steve Corica. Protected the ball, played the percentages, knew there was defenders closing him down, played the ball off them. Won his side a corner kick.
Kissel. Now Björn. Keller. Tambouris. Can't clear the threat. Here's Hingett for North Queensland. Perhaps their last opportunity to get something out of the game. Hingett drops it in. The contact came from Danny McBreen, but there's no one home for North Queensland inside that Sydney 6-yard box.
It was a well-worked free kick. Played to the far post. McBreen's job was to get his head on it. He did that, knocked it back across the goal. A little bit too close to Clint Bolton. No Fury player able to get there. Of it last season.
Previously on the Props Pentathlon.
Ben Rogers here with the... You did well.
Which way did I put that?
I think I swore too.
The Props Pentathlon on NRL on Fox.
It's a try to Australia. Australia the winners.
Previously on the Props Pentathlon.
Human fridge himself, Danny Wicks.
Yes, it is Danny Wicks.
The brains of the outfit. 40-year-old Steve Price.
Oh, Steve Price!
Tuesday I did the Props Pentathlon.
On NRL on Fox.
The ATP 1000 Montreal takes centre stage as the third oldest tennis tournament hits Fox Sports.
In some style.
$3 million up for grabs and 3 favourites back on court. Tuesday morning, live and exclusive on Fox Sports. The ATP 1000 Montreal takes centre stage as the third oldest tennis tournament hits Fox Sports.
In some style.
Williams. Look up, David Williams. And there is the full-time whistle here at Dairy Farmers Stadium. Sydney FC end up winning the game, but they had to do it the hard way. 2 goals from that man, John Aloisi. In the end, it was enough to defeat a brave North Queensland Fury side who came from 2 goals down to square the ledger before Aloisi drove a stake into their hearts with that late penalty. Full time here at Dairy Farmers Stadium. Sydney FC 3, North Queensland Fury 2.
It all started so well for Sydney. John Aloisi, wonderful piece of finishing from the striker. And then Kofi Danning, the young star, individual effort, brilliant. Hit back just before half-time. North Queensland Fury through the set piece. And then Robbie Fowler on cue brought the sides level with a coolly taken spot kick. Unfortunately, their hearts were broken, the home fans, when Aloisi got his brace. Another cool piece of finishing from the spot.
So Sydney FC getting up in game 1 of season 5. North Queensland Fury gave a good account of themselves in the end in front of their own fans here at Dairy Farmers. Brave from the home team, but in the end unrewarded thanks to 2 goals from John Aloisi, who I would imagine is wearing the biggest smile in Townsville at the moment. Sydney FC marquee player. He is with Melanie McLaughlin.
John, congratulations on those goals. 2 goals, that's as many as you scored last year for Sydney. So was that the perfect start for you?
It was a good start for the team to win. Would have liked to play better, but North Queensland made it hard for us. We started the game well. I think first 20 minutes we played really good stuff, and then after that they got on top of us and made life difficult, and at the end we're probably lucky to come away with 3 points.
And John, what about you personally, though, scoring those goals? It must be a nice feeling.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling. It's good to get off to a good start, to get scoring goals straight away, and let's hope it's a big year for the team.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
Robbie Fowler, congratulations on the goal, but of course disappointment no doubt for the result tonight. It's fair to say it was an eventful start to your A-League career.
Yeah, it was. We've struggled in pre-season where we've conceded early goals. I think tonight was the same again. We've put ourselves on the back foot. All credit for the lads again. We've fought back to get it to 2-2, and then we've been caught again. So not the ideal result, but I think we'll take some credit from the fact that we pull back from 2 goals down, and shows we've got a better fight in the team.
So you've got, obviously there'll be a bit of homework for the boys to do during the week. Do you think it had something to do with, limited preparation, especially with the newer players coming into the squad fairly late on?
No, I don't think so. We've conceded an early goal, and any team that you play, if you concede goals, then you're always on the back foot straight away. It's just a start. We can hold on to half time, maybe 0-0, then we've got more than a chance in the second half to try and get that win.
All right, thanks very much, Robert.
Thank you.
Well, a 5-goal thriller here at Townsville. Let's hope for more of the same at Suncorp. That game, Brisbane and Gold Coast, coming up right after this.
This program brought to you by Solo. Game on. Mighty helpful, Mitre 10. Hungry Jacks. Carlsberg, probably the best beer in the world. Optus, proudly supporting Australian football. Bet live with TAB Sportsbet. Call 133 390. And Hyundai. Round 1 continues. From champions to the wooden spoon in just 1 season, can Kalina Senior relaunch the Newcastle Jets? 2:30 tomorrow, they face Wellington, live and only on Fox Sports.
This program brought to you by H&R Block. We take the burden out of tax. Castrol Magnatech. Protection from the moment you turn the key. Fisherman's Friend. It's invigorating. Bet live with TAB Sportsbet. Call 133 390. And Ashes Cricket 09 on PlayStation 3 at JB Hi-Fi August 13.
Freiburg and Frank Farina that has given the league's first Queensland derby real feeling. Tonight, the